I want you to imagine for a second that you find out that your sheriff is not only a drug addict who just checked into rehab, but you also find out he's been stealing taxpayer funds and then using those funds for his own personal needs, some say often to buy drugs, and then you find out this same sheriff engages in civil asset forfeiture at a rate that is so high, he has become known as a road pirate all over the country in a state that is not heavily populated. And so I want to ask you one simple question. If you've ever dealt with a crackhead or an addict, what's one of the first things that goes missing? Well, you know the answer to that question is money, along with the actual substance that they are abusing. And what if I told you that all of those things happen in Spartanburg County, South Carolina, and that I've been trying to warn people about this guy for years, and there's only one way to describe that.
This is delicious, absolutely delicious.
I lie, I cheat, I steal.
There is an active FBI probe into Spartanburg County Sheriff Chuck Wright.
And Carrie, that's right. One of the sources confirming to us that they were directly interviewed by FBI agents regarding nepotism in the sheriff's office and alleged misuse of government funds by the sheriff.
You're stealing, right to jail.
Now, another source telling us they too were interviewed by FBI agents. And those questions were also over nepotism, as well as previous cases that allegedly showed favoritism. And this all stems from a state ethics investigation that we've previously reported on.
And you know, I tried to warn people over and over and over again about Chuck Wright over the years, and thanks to a bunch of white supremacist inbreds in South Carolina, specifically Spartanburg, this racist drug addict sheriff has been getting cover for years because so long as he's racist and only targets black people disproportionately, then all the inbred and toothless white supremacists in Spartanburg County, South Carolina are A-OK with Chuck Wright, despite his little pill-popping addiction, which is not exactly a new condition based on what I've heard from the streets. And I literally warned people 5 years ago. Let me show you what I mean by that. Let me show you the evidence. And so this will be yet another case of me being right just way too early.
This could have been avoided.
I warned you.
Flashback.
Viva la raza! I lie, I cheat, I steal. I lie, I cheat, I steal. Yo.
Michael, on Friday, we told you about a lawsuit filed against Spartanburg County Sheriff Chuck Wright by a man who claims deputies seized a large amount of money from his car, even though they never charged him with a criminal offense.
I don't owe you an apology for doing my job.
Over the last 5 years, police agencies in the state have collected $22.7 million in assets through civil forfeiture, often without charging or convicting someone of a crime.
I don't owe you an apology for doing my job.
In early April, Sheriff Chuck Wright compared the NAACP to the KKK.
I lie, I cheat, I steal.
End of flashback.
5 years ago, I put out a video discussing Sheriff Chuck Wright, and I said in that video back 5 years ago in 2020 that Sheriff Chuck Wright is a thief, and that every year South Carolina law enforcement all get together in Spartanburg County and other parts of South Carolina and they execute Operation Rolling Thunder. And that's a massive civil forfeiture operation where you have loads of cops just pulling over random people and fishing for charges so that they can accuse these people who may have large sums of cash because they're traveling tourists, or they have firearms or any other product or accessory of committing a crime or using that product in the commission of a crime, so that the Spartanburg County Sheriff's Department or whatever law enforcement agency is encountering that person at that time can just take their money and their property with no repercussions.
For almost 20 years, police in Spartanburg County, South Carolina, have conducted an annual search and seizure blitz that treats innocent drivers like criminals and cash like contraband.
Keep this in mind. There's thievery and allowable thievery.
Under Operation Rolling Thunder, any traffic violation can lead to a roadside interrogation and a warrantless search.
Freedom is the freedom to say 2 + 2 = 4.
Police stop drivers for minor things like following too closely or drifting over the white line.
This isn't freedom. This is fear.
But the goal is not safer streets. It's to pull over and search as many vehicles as possible. And when the police find cash, they seize it, whether there's evidence of wrongdoing or not.
Thief! Stop! Thief! Come back, thief!
Maybe we could call the police.
These are the police.
There's thievery and allowable thievery.
Participating agencies expect drivers to be perfect, but give themselves a pass on complying with the Freedom of Information Act. For 21 months, the town refused to hand over their public records. It turns out, they hadn't kept any on the innocent people they pulled over.
What you'll find is that not only are thousands of dollars stolen from people and never returned, but you'll find a racial disparity because, in fact, more black people on average, when it comes to Operation Rolling Thunder, are searched and have their product taken or stolen. And over the years, you've had numerous lawsuits because of this.
The lawsuit is based on an April 28th traffic stop on Interstate 85. During Operation Rolling Thunder. It was during that week-long traffic blitz that targets illegal drugs being smuggled up the interstate that Iman Lartigue claims he was ordered out of his vehicle for no reason and subjected to what the lawsuit calls an illegal stop and search. During the course of that search, Lartigue's lawyer tells WYFF News 4 deputies seized and kept $29,000 in cash that Lartigue told deputies he had in his vehicle.
Help! Help! I've been robbed!
Maybe we could call the police.
These are the police.
Man, I'm dead.
There's thievery and allowable thievery.
The suit claims Lartigue was never convicted of a crime, but that the sheriff's office kept the money using civil forfeiture laws.
There is no love except love of Big Brother. When there is nothing left but sorrow and love of Big Brother, we shall lift you clean out of history.
Greenville attorney Sloan Ellis, who has no involvement in the case, says while civil forfeiture is an effective tool in stopping criminal enterprises, the practice has also come under fire.
In the most disturbing cases, they use the seizure law to seize assets when they don't charge a crime.
And most of that stealing that Sheriff Chuck Wright and his law enforcement officers have been done disproportionately to black people. And there's a reason for that. And that reason is that Chuck Wright is a notorious racist. And over the years, he's been accused of racism by not only citizens, but the local chapter of the NAACP and even his own employees. And if you don't believe that, well, take a look for yourself.
I think the most racist people in America right now sometimes are your minorities. A small group of your minorities.
The comments were made during a speech 2 weeks ago at the Greenville-Spartanburg Republican Women's Meeting. He also brought up the KKK as a racist group. Independent candidate for sheriff Russell Lynch worked at the sheriff's office for 25 years. He sent us the recording.
It's an embarrassment to law enforcement, for a law enforcement professional to sum a group like the NAACP up as being a racist organization.
An upstate sheriff and county administrator are being sued. A former employee claims he was treated unfairly because of his race.
In this lawsuit, Brian Blaylock claims he was discriminated against when he worked here at the Spartanburg County Detention Center. Blaylock also alleges he was wrongfully terminated. Now he is suing Sheriff Chuck Wright and County Administrator Catherine O'Neill. In a lawsuit, Blaylock claims he was unfairly evaluated and treated because he was supervised by an officer others said may be a member of the Ku Klux Klan or neo-Nazi organizations. Blaylock is African American.
And so let this be a lesson to the South Carolina Attorney General Alan Wilson or to anyone who supports U.S. law enforcement. I am a professional when it comes to calling out bad cops. I have always been right about bad cops. And as I said multiple times in this video, I'm usually just right way too early.
Pretty damn bad, huh?
Delicious, absolutely delicious.
I lie, I cheat, I steal.
There's thievery and allowable thievery.
This is America. Don't got you slipping up.
Business as usual.